Hi everyone, this is section 5. We're going to be looking at Job chapter 3, and it reads like this. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed the day of his birth. He said, "May the day of my birth perish, and the night that said, a boy is conceived, that day, may it turn to darkness. May God above not care about it. May no light shine on it. May gloom and utter darkness claim it once more. May a cloud settle over it. May blackness overwhelm it. That night, may thick darkness seize it. May it not be included among the days of the year, nor be entered in any of the months. May that day be barren. May no shout of joy be heard in it. May those who curse days curse that day. May those who are ready to rouse Leviathan. May its morning stars become dark. May it wait for daylight in vain, and not see the first rays of dawn. For it did not shut the doors of the womb on me to hide trouble from my eyes. Why did I not perish at birth, and die as I came from the womb? Why were there knees to receive me, and breasts that I might be nursed? For now I would be lying down in peace. I would be asleep and at rest, with kings and rulers of the earth, who built for themselves places now lying in ruins, with princes who had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or why was I not hidden away in the ground, like a stillborn child, like an infant who never saw the light of day? There the wicked cease from turmoil, and there the weary are at rest. Captives also enjoy their ease. They no longer hear the slave drivers shout. The small and the great are there, and the slaves are freed from their owners. Why is light given to those in misery, and life to the bitter of soul, to those who long for death that does not come, who search for it more than for hidden treasure, who are filled with gladness and rejoice when they reach the grave? Why is life given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God has hedged in? For sighing has become my daily food, my groans pour out like water. What I feared has come upon me. What I dreaded has happened to me. I have no peace, no quietness. I have no rest, but only turmoil. Very powerful poetry by Job, and you really get a sense of the gravity and the depth of the emotion that he was experiencing in that moment. And one of the things that you see here is that Job really begins to question the value of his life. He says, the day that I was born might as well be cursed, and I might as well have not been born at all. And there's certainly no reason why I should be alive now. He really embodies the sentiment of a lot of people who experience some sort of mental illness. You really do get to a point where you begin to take a step back, and you're really forced to wonder the value of it all, and you're inclined to believe that in reality it's all insignificant. Life itself, but your life even more than life in general. And there's this sense that a lot of people get that indeed they would be better off dead, because there's no purpose in the hardship, there's no purpose in the pain, there's no purpose in the confusion, there's no purpose in, sort of the restlessness that ensues. And in the moment, they're correct, because many times they aren't really given a good enough reason to remain, and so they are justified in having such an opinion. And I think that this is a moment in the text where we can really relate to Job, because we understand where he's coming from, and I think the reader can empathize with him here, because he's utterly confused at this point, and he doesn't know why he's still alive. He doesn't know why he wasn't swept up, in whatever storm took his children, messed their house up, and killed his children. And the Lord doesn't give him a reason. He doesn't give us a reason a lot of times either. And again, death was absolutely better than life at this point for Job, because he had nothing to live for. And that had really nothing to do with the fact that his wealth was gone. I really don't think that was the real source of his hurt. I think the source of his hurt was the sense of embarrassment that he felt after all of this. You go from being the most respected man in your in your entire geographical area and space, to being destitute and ill and without children. And I think that's really what struck him. And at that point, it didn't make sense. Life didn't make any sense. And that's real. That's real. And I'll tell you that there's really, that he's Job is in this regard, he really is the embodiment. He really does shed light on the mentality that a lot of people have about life, who happen to be dealing with some sort of mental illness. He lays it all out in Job 3, in this 3rd chapter here, very clearly and very eloquently. And one of the things that, he's not just talking about himself, but he says, what about everyone else? What about the people who have had similar experiences? Why are they here? Why is it that it seems as though the people who are enjoying life are the ones who have their lives cut short, but the people who are really struggling. The people who genuinely don't want to be alive. Those are the people who are sustained. Those are the people who are given more life. Why is that? As we look in the Old Testament, the New Testament, people, the apostles, Paul being an important one among them, really tries to answer that question through the lens of Christ, and he does that relatively adequately, and basically says that you are here because ultimately you have good works. To anybody who's here and who is either already in the faith or on the path to faith has good works to perform. And only until those good works are performed can that or can those people die. You cannot leave until you have done what God has set for you to do. That's essentially what Paul says. And one last note here. This was a nightmare. I mean, of epic proportions. This was the one outcome that really startled Job. If ever he had any inclination that such horrible circumstances would hinder him in this way, this was the image that he would have played in his mind. An image in which not only is his wealth gone, but his children are gone. And not only that, he's close to death himself. So when you think about that, you really get to understand where he was coming from in this particular text. And that's why Job 3 is really, really the meat and the bone of the entire book in terms of the sentiment, in terms of the emotion behind what he was experiencing. So in this next video, we're going to look at chapter 4.